What's up, heathens?
How y'all doing?
So today is a little bit of a different kind of podcast. I'm going to be running the podcast today because tomorrow is Christmas! Merry Christmas to everybody who might be listening to this actually on Christmas. If you are, leave us a comment down below with one thing that you got under the Christmas tree from Santa, because we all know that fucker exists.
Wasn't this Christmas Eve?
This is Christmas Eve, but some people won't watch it until Christmas Day.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, sorry for you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And Kwanzaa, Hanukkah.
Festivus
for the rest of us.
Pagan whatevers.
Flying spaghetti monster thing. Eat you some spaghetti today.
What's it called? The pagan one.
I miss spaghetti.
What? Yeah, I bet. Spaghetti's really good.
Yeah. I don't know which pagan one you're talking about. There's a lot of pagan shit that
The one around Christmas.
Yule?
No, not that one. The one that Ocean was talking about the other day.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Anyway.
But hey, you know what? You guys should definitely go and check out Ocean. He's an awesome creator here on YouTube. But as you guys know, yesterday we had our War on Christmas video where we talked about the long history of the imaginary war on Christmas. And if you guys haven't seen that, definitely go check it out. If you didn't know, the War on Christmas, totes anti-Semitic, started by Henry Ford. So if you want to learn more about that, go check out that video. But today we are going to be examining the virgin birth myths and how Christianity syncretized the Jewish religion with pagan cults and other religions. And syncretism, if you guys don't know, is where you take one set of beliefs or ideas and you take another set of beliefs or ideas and they end up merging and producing something that's like completely new, but it's an amalgam of the two different sets of ideas, 2 or 3, however many you got. Today we're specifically going to be focusing on the virgin births of other pagan deities that predate Christianity. So
Wait a minute. Nothing predates Christianity.
We all know that the earth started with Christianity. Yes, I know, honey. But trust me, there are other pagan deities that predate Christianity.
Don't believe it.
So if you guys are interested in knowing these things, then please stay tuned. All right, so first we should probably talk about why this is important, because this is one of the many elements of the background information concerning the origins of Christianity. This particular subject does not prove that Jesus was completely fabricated or anything like that. This is just one element of the Jesus story in the Gospels. Mm-hmm. And it's not even the one that's closest to the supposed time of Jesus. But what this does show is that the gospel narrative surrounding the birth of Jesus is the aspects of the Jewish religion syncretized with pagan religions that would have influenced the Jews. That's the big takeaway from these pagan virgin births here. So first of all, what we have to cover is, what do we mean by a virgin birth? And there's actually a couple different components that comprise what it means to be born of a virgin. So the 2 specific components are a sexless conception and the birth of this proposed god or demigod, while the demigod or god's mother is still a virgin, meaning that they've just never had sex, or magically a virgin, which is something that we'll cover later.
Magically a virgin.
Magically a virgin. You can magically be a virgin in, Fantasyland.
Do you need like a Harry Potter wand for that? I have one of those.
No, actually, it's more like it's a magical, bathtub with candles and probably some bath salts.
Mm.
But
yeah,
what are those bath bombs?
People who take bath salts are fucked up.
Yeah. What about those bath bomb things? It's
I have
probably
seen
the virgining. It's probably just a bath bomb. You throw it in there and it explodes up your whatever.
So do you put the bath bomb in the hoo-ha and then get in the bath, or do you just put the bomb in the bath?
Well, I think what you do is you pull a lever and the bath bomb drops onto your area.
Okay.
And then it explodes over your area and re-virginizes you.
Have you seen how bath bombs work?
I mean, I've never used a bath bomb, so no.
They don't actually explode.
We saw those bath bombs in that what was it? It was like a vegan GMO mineral place.
Yeah, it was in Florida when we were down in Florida. It was like they did soaps and lotions and all
Essential
kinds of
oils.
other essential oil stuff. And yeah, she made all of her own like natural products.
Yeah, I'm wondering what her natural ingredients were. But anyways, so when we talk about virgin births, we have to consider both of these aspects because individually they were both rampant in the area of pagan religions in different combinations. Some had sexless conception, but by the time they gave birth, they were not virgins. Some used...
So they conceived and then had sex later and then had a kid.
Right. Or some use magic to restore their virginity, but are still they still sexlessly conceived the baby.
Sure. Right. Okay.
So this is how syncretism works, though. This is the big thing, is that this is how syncretism works. You have these various different beliefs that occur in different ways, but they are eventually adopted, pulled in together, and used to create a whole new religion or idea or something like that. So that's how the Jews took these ideas and created their own version of a virgin birth demigod, basically. So Jesus's virgin birth stories is the next point. So if what we're going to do is we're going to look at these pagan deities to see which ones actually share the same type or same flow of story as Jesus, then we really need to know what his stories actually are. Right? So that
hey, have you heard about this guy Jesus?
I have. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure because I know that there are some people who haven't heard about Jesus, so you should probably tell them the stories.
Who hasn't heard about Jesus?
I don't know.
Surprisingly enough, people think they know certain aspects of the story, but you can actually read things to them and they'll be very much like, oh no, that's not part of the story until you actually put them out to it in the Bible.
You mean there are Christians who don't actually know what they're talking about?
Right.
Shocking.
I know. Okay, so first let's go with Matthew, starting at Matthew 1:18, sorry. Matthew 1:18, in case you guys are somehow reading along with us. This is the birth of Jesus Christ in Matthew. I'm going to be reading directly from the ESV version of the Bible. Now the birth of Jesus Christ took place in this way. When his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph before they came together, she was found to be with child from the Holy Spirit. And her husband Joseph, being just a man and unwilling to put her to shame, resolved to divorce her quietly. Which isn't actually how that shit works in the Jewish culture at all. So anyways.
Did he consider that she was conceived the kid through a Norwegian mailman?
I think that she probably considered her fucking another guy because she got pregnant, but you know.
Obviously he was going to divorce her.
Yeah. So starting back up at 20, but as he considered these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not fear to take Mary as your wife, for that which is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which means God with us. When Joseph woke from sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took his wife, but he knew her not until she had given birth to a son, and he called his name Jesus.
You know what's interesting? Is Catholics, they say in verse 25, he knew her not until she had given birth to a son.
Right.
Catholics believe that Mary was a perpetual virgin.
Right. And that's the earliest interpretation of Mary as being a perpetual virgin. But it's not until later apologetics do you get that, they think that she actually had sex and stuff.
Okay, so what is this? Matthew what?
This is Matthew 1:18 through 25.
So I pulled out my Catholic Bible that I've had since I was a kid. Okay. He had no relations with her until she bore a son, and there's an asterisk. Hold on.
You gotta love asterisks in the Bible.
Okay, so at the bottom it says, until she bore a son. The evangelist is concerned to emphasize that Joseph was not responsible for the conception of Jesus. The Greek word translated until does not imply normal marital conduct after Jesus' birth, nor does it exclude it. Which is interesting because this would be a footnote in the Catholic Bible. It basically is saying, this isn't saying that they had sex after, but it's also not saying that they didn't, which the teaching is that they did not.
Right.
But then how would Jesus have a brother?
Right. But I mean, I don't think that Jesus ever had a brother.
I know.
Yeah. I'm not sure what your opinion on that particular part is.
I don't think Jesus existed, so I don't think Jesus had a brother.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's my position as well. Anyways, so that's in Matthew. Let's see what Luke has to say about it. Okay, so in Matthew 2:26, in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. And the virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, "Greetings, O favored one, the Lord is with you." But she was greatly troubled at the saying, and tried to discern what sort of greeting this might be. And the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of Most High.
Sounds like Trump wrote this.
And the Lord God will give to him the throne of his father David. And he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end." Also, I'm wondering, David is his father? So, I don't know. There's the whole idea that God took David's literal seed and impregnated her with David's seed.
Yeah.
And everything. And so it's kind of interesting how in Luke it actually kind of directly says that.
Well, in order for it to line up with the Old Testament narrative, they have to be able to connect Jesus to David. They have to.
Right.
So that would explain this. There's really no other. They're going to have to do that if Jesus is supposedly the Son of God. If they're going to make that argument, they have to connect him to David.
Right. So this part right here is kind of curious. And Mary said to the angel, "How will this be, since I am a virgin?"
Okay.
It doesn't make sense, this particular part of it.
Why?
Well, because she's betrothed to be married to a guy that comes from the house of David. Mm-hmm. Why would she be like, well, how can this be? I'm a virgin, if she's about to marry a guy from the house of David, and when you get married, you fuck and you have kids.
Oh, so you're saying it wouldn't make sense for her to say this because currently she's assuming she'll get married, have sex, and have a son of David.
Right.
Like eventually after her and Joseph are going to conceive.
Right.
So you're thinking that she's not understanding that she's going to have a...
I don't understand why. Well, I don't understand why she would be confused as to how babies work.
Well, I don't know.
Anyways, and the angel answered her, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be called Holy, the Son of God. And behold, your relative Elizabeth in her old age has also conceived a son, and this is the 6th month with her son, who was called barren. For nothing will be impossible with God." And Mary said, "Behold, I am the servant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." And the angel departed from her. Okay. Elizabeth is John the Baptist's mother.
Yes. And we actually talked about this in a video last year.
Yeah.
About the timing and everything.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we went over the actual Christmas stories.
Yeah.
Like all of them. Mm-hmm. So, what we can glean from both of these stories, though, is that we have a certain skeletal structure that we can use to look at other pagan deities to see where this syncretism might have happened, right? So in both stories, we have an angel appearing and declaring that Mary will be pregnant with Jesus. In Matthew's, the angel appears to Joseph. In Luke's, the angel appears to Mary and declares it, right? So we also know that it was a sexless conception, with her remaining a virgin until he was born. So we have this skeleton structure of sexless conception, remaining a virgin, born a virgin, right?
Right.
Pretty simple. It's not whittled down too much as far as like a skeletal structure goes for the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So depending on if you're Catholic or not, like we have just discussed before, Mary remained a virgin, and presumably just because God was that good in bed and Joseph was a cuck. Okay? So this, like I said, this is the basic skeletal story for it. But I want to show you that not only are both components of virgin births all over pagan theology, but we are also going to find this exact same skeletal structure in a significant number of pagan myths that the Jews would have known about. And the reason why these parallels or these little bits of evidence matter is because it's not just that each individual portion is fulfilled or that we find one or two of these or whatnot. It's the amount of the points that are fulfilled, which is all of them,
Mm-hmm.
plus the order in which they are fulfilled.
Okay.
So those are important. Before we get into the virgin births, though, I do want to cover other syncretized pagan concepts. There's a precedent for pagan ideas being syncretized into the Jewish faith. They then present these ideas as their own unique ideas in their own religious texts.
Oh, yeah, that's what we heard earlier from, what was it, Bill O'Reilly about Christmas trees?
Oh, yeah. So topping off the list here, we got circumcision being pagan. The Egyptians were circumcising in the 5th century BCE, which was right around the time when the Genesis was being written about and everything like that. But when the Egyptians were performing circumcisions and everything like that, nobody knew about anybody else like doing circumcisions. Like there was no evidence of that happening. So when in the Bible, when the Israelites get to like Egypt and they interact with Egypt, there's no mention of them circumcising anybody. It's just the Jews that are circumcised, because being circumcised means that you have a covenant with God. And if the Egyptians were circumcising with another god, that would kind of be confusing.
Yeah.
Another thing is the pork being a taboo. That was originally pagan.
But I mean, that's how you knew if you met a person on the road and you didn't know if they were a Jew or not, you'd be like, hey, let me see your dick.
Yeah, honey, that happened all over Judea and the Middle East at that time. Wait a second. I don't know. Can you whip out your dick so I can know if you're an Israelite or not?
Yeah, but see, the problem is that if the Egyptians were doing it too, then it's really not a unique identifier.
No, it's really not. But
so it messes up their story.
Do you think that's how you got into the gates, like for Israelite towns? Like you walked up and it's like, put your dick in the hole. And it was just like a key.
That's how glory holes started. True story.
Yeah, you guys didn't know you'd be learning about the origins of glory holes, huh? So resurrection also is a pagan idea that we'll be covering that more in depth around Easter time.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Monotheism in general was started as a pagan idea. The apocalypse is pagan. Hellfire in hell, is also a pagan idea. So there's a significant amount of syncretism that's already going on in the Jewish faith with other pagan religions.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had to incorporate some of it. I mean, we've talked about this before, how they had to incorporate some of the current major ideas into their religion in order to get people to convert to their religion.
Oh, yeah. It's even continued in Christianity with, taking several pagan holidays and then wrapping them up in Christian, sort of propaganda, like All Saints Day and Halloween, and then there's Christmas in general. I mean, that's a pagan holiday that was wrapped up in Christian wrapping, basically. So now we're going to start off with, we're not going to go directly for the money shot. We're going to start off with the not exactly virgin births. Okay, these would be gods that fulfill partial, like just part of the skeletal structure of Jesus.
Okay.
All right. So these aren't going to be the exact skeletons of Jesus, but they do have a lot of similarities that Jews would have known about at the time when they were creating their Jesus story. And it just shows that these ideas were rampant in paganism, right?
It just seems like Jesus is the Mr. Potato Head of all of these concepts.
Well, I mean, that's how a lot of religions are. And Christianity is really no different than any other religion, like at that time. I mean, it was a mystery cult, and then it only stopped being a mystery cult because it became popular.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. So first we're going to start off with Alexander the Great, who was a real historical person, but he does have some myths surrounding him. There's several variations of like his conception and his birth, but the ones that we're going to focus on today are the ones where apparently a snake impregnated his mom, Olympias.
I mean, it's a snake.
Those trouser snakes, they can be dubious.
I mean, that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Do I need to get you a book on how your snake works?
No. I have definitely thumbed through all of the manuals for that.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Zeus's lightning bolt impregnating Olympias. Can you imagine that kind of orgasm?
Well, I mean, we talk about it most weeks on the podcast. God's lightning dick.
Yep.
Is no different.
But the thing here, though, that makes it not exactly a virgin birth is because Zeus, or the snake, impregnates Olympias prior to consummating her marriage to her husband.
Okay, so she's impregnated before she gets married and then consummates after.
Or, well, no, it would be like she got married. Zeus flies in, shoves a thunderbolt up her hoo-ha.
Okay.
And impregnates her, and then she has sex after having the hoo-ha lightning sex.
Oh, right. Yeah, it was definitely that first one that did it.
But this is similar to Jesus' conception. Olympias, of course, isn't a virgin by the time that she gives birth, but that's why she doesn't fulfill all of the identifiers for Jesus.
Right.
So next we have Io's impregnation by a light touch and breath from Zeus. Now this was a sexless conception, but Io was not a virgin at the time. But she was she was sexlessly conceived, or she was impregnated without sex.
I feel like these are the kind of people who are like, yeah, you can totally get pregnant from a hot tub.
Oh, it gets better. You're going to love this next one.
Oh, you know what this also reminds me of?
Huh.
The game we played, the Jesus game, where they gave a hug, light touch, and they got pregnant.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
That's the U Testament, if you guys can find that anywhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyways, okay, so next we have Attis, okay? Attis's mom had a magical almond placed on her stomach and was impregnated with Attis. We need to keep almonds.
So she got nutted on.
Somebody nutted on that bitch and got her pregnant.
That's what happened.
Yeah. She was a virgin because in her myth, her father unjustly punishes her for having sex in her myth.
So then how was she what do you mean her father unjustly punishes her? Oh, he punishes her for having sex, but she hadn't.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So the almond, though, apparently came from a tree that was grown from a severed penis, but that's still not having sex.
Do you suppose that, like, that's what Lorena Bobbitt was trying to accomplish when she chucked his dick out the window? Like, I think I want to grow an almond tree.
It's like, damn, son, you got some wood on you. Let's see if we can grow another one.
I mean, there's a better way to grow an almond tree from an almond.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Next is Dionysus. So Dionysus was sexlessly conceived the second time when his mom drank a magic potion with his organs in it. Like pureed organs in a drink. She drinks it. She gets impregnated.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, she wasn't a virgin, though, obviously. So still doesn't match Jesus.
This reminds me of the people who do the whole cook or whatever, the placenta after and eat the afterbirth. That is so nasty. I'm sorry if you've done that, but oof.
Next up is Mithras, who wasn't exactly conceived or anything, but he sprang forth spontaneously from a rock. So possibly the Rock, Dwayne Johnson, possibly him, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if the Rock's capable of having children, but I mean, if he just sprang, I don't know. The Rock is pretty awesome.
Honey, in fantasy world, anything's possible, so I don't even know why you're having trouble with this.
All right. See, I was just thinking it might be the rock that Moses tapped on.
Oh, the one that he smacked with his dick?
Oh, no, the one that he smacked with his...
rod?
His rod.
Yeah. I don't see a difference in what I said.
Right, you wouldn't.
So next up is... I'm going to butcher this, but it's Erechtheus? Maybe? Erechtheus? Something like that? Anyways...
it was erect.
Yeah. They were the mythical founder of Athens, but they were also born of Mother Earth, and get this, it's because divine semen was wiped off Athena's leg and thrown to the ground. Next time you think about coming on the ground, you might birth a god. Just saying. I feel like there are people in our audience that might actually try that. Our lawyers want to make sure you know, do not try to come on the ground in public spaces. Whatever you do in your own backyard, I can't really control.
I mean, as long as it's fenced, please don't force somebody else to watch you jack off into the ground. It's bizarre.
Oh, man. All right. So next up is Minerva. Her mother was swallowed by Jupiter, and then Minerva burst from Jupiter's head without any kind of sex at all. Although this is an idea that was syncretized from other pagan beliefs where I want to say it was the Roman god Zeus swallowed a pregnant woman and then gave birth to whatever god is synonymous with Minerva. I can't remember which one that is.
That's interesting, though, that it just burst out of his head. And the dad is the one that gave birth here, which is kind of interesting. But did it kill Jupiter? Like when his head exploded?
No, it didn't kill him. I mean, he's a god. So the Roman or the Greek version of the myth is Athena, and the Roman version is Minerva.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's just a form of syncretization, where the Greek stuff was copied, but they left out some things. And in this case of Minerva, it's the actual having sex part.
It's just like, did they just sit there and be like, okay, what is a more disgusting way to birth a person than what we already do? Have her explode out of your head.
Well, actually, they removed the sex part because they didn't, they thought it was disgusting for gods to have sex, to be able to give birth. That's why the whole virgin and sexless conception thing is kind of a deal.
Oh, they were just beyond it?
Yeah. I guess they felt it was too human of a thing.
Oh. Okay. I feel sorry for them.
And then, again, in the Roman mythology, you've got Mars. Jupiter's consort, Juno, got jealous about Minerva jacking the boxing out of Jupiter's head. So Juno touched a magic flower to their stomach and got pregnant.
That's how flowers work. I wonder what kind of flower that was.
I don't know, but it's a magical fucking flower, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so now for the money shot. You guys ready for virgin births that are the same as Jesus's virgin birth?
Okay.
Okay?
But prior to Jesus.
But yes, they predate Jesus.
Okay.
All right. So first up, though, we have Hephaestus.
For the rest of us.
So Hephaestus was born to Hera. Hera just willed herself to be pregnant. So sexless conception. That's our first stop, right?
I wish that worked.
Yeah.
Be pregnant, be pregnant, be pregnant.
And then, but you see, the thing is that with Hera, she has sex all the time.
Yeah.
But she's got a fix for this.
Oh, okay.
She magically regains her virginity with a special bath every year.
Oh, this is the ones with the bath bomb.
Right. She bath bombs her virginity back up her hoo-ha. And so basically all of the children that Hera births are born of a virgin, but Hephaestus is the only one conceived without sex.
Interesting.
Yeah. So next up is Perseus. He's conceived by golden rain falling from the ceiling into the womb of his virgin mother, Danae, something like that. She remained a true virgin, was never dicked whatsoever, and gave birth as a virgin.
Okay.
So completely. Now, this was so well attested in the ancient world that even Justin Martyr, an early 2nd century church father, had to admit that this counted as a virgin birth, but he ascribed it to a lie from Satan.
Of course, because when you can't explain something, you'd be like, that's just Satan lying.
Yeah, exactly.
I rolled my eyes dramatically for those of you who could not see it, which is everybody.
But yeah, so Perseus is the best, one of the best attested to, because you actually have church fathers addressing it.
Okay.
Right, because it actually interfered with their theology.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Something interfered. Let's figure out a way to explain it away.
Right.
Apology 101.
And then we have Ra. Neith was his mom, and she was indeed a virgin goddess. She gave birth to gods spontaneously. One of them was Ra. And she conceived all of her children without any involvement of a man or anything like that. And when she gave birth to him, she was still a virgin.
Oh, okay.
So Perseus, Hephaestus, and Ra are the best examples of pre-Christian virgin birth stories.
Okay.
An honorable mention here I do want to bring up is Romulus, because his isn't the best example, but it does share a lot of common themes.
Okay.
So first of all, he had a mom who was supposedly virgin. She got locked away in a tower, right?
Like Rapunzel.
To prevent her from having sex, but she ends up becoming pregnant anyways. There's two possible things that are proposed, at least in like ancient sources.
Okay.
One is she got raped or fucked by just a guy that was there, like a soldier.
Who got into
or
the tower
like
somehow.
Yeah, got into the tower, fucked her, whatever. She had sex. The other one is a god impregnated her. Right?
Because that's rational.
Right. The god Mars would have come in and impregnated her, but a lot of people assume that means just regular dicking around, but it doesn't actually say that in the myth.
Right.
It was just regular dicking around, so it's still miraculous God, impregnating a woman.
Okay.
Kind of thing. But there was the rumor that she just had sex. And this is similar to a rumor that is highly attested to in early church father documents, mainly Celsus, I believe. It was Origen responding to Celsus. Because it was against Celsus that he mentioned this in, that basically Mary supposedly had sex with a Roman soldier named Pantera, and that is how Jesus was conceived. That is the bogus story that people use to explain away the virgin birth, even in the 2nd century. Well, I guess Origen was 3rd century. So, Celsus was writing in the 2nd century. Plutarch's biography, though, in which Romulus declares to Proculus that he was a pre-existent god who had become incarnate. And this is a direct analogy to Jesus in Christian theology as early as Paul. And it would normally entail that Romulus could not have been begotten by just normal intercourse.
Right.
It would have had to have been some kind of special intercourse or something like that, or special conception.
Right.
So Romulus gets a sort of honorable mention here because he's not the best example, and it's kind of, I guess.
But there are elements.
Yeah, there are elements to it, so that's why he gets an honorable mention. So those are all of the pre-Christian pagan deities that had some element of a virgin birth story in their myths. Now, I do want to round today's podcast out by talking about the number of virgin births that happen today, contemporarily with us.
0.
Well, technically, yes, 0. But it's technically 0, but claimed to be at least 0.8%.
I'm just kind of wondering if somebody who was a virgin, maybe they have some sort of issue. I don't know. If they were a virgin and they didn't want to have sex, but they wanted to have kids, I wonder if they would do like in vitro fertilization on a virgin. Do you think that they would? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what the criteria is for that.
Well, I mean, they would have to break the hymen in order to do the in vitro. So,
but I mean, would that make the person not a virgin anymore? I mean, I guess that's the criteria for not being a virgin is the hymen broken. Except the problem is that, I mean, your hymen can break for other reasons.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, it definitely depends on. Yeah, it definitely would depend on whether or not what you consider to be virginness. Because I mean, in Fantasyland, obviously, just a bath bomb will take that shit.
Fix it.
It'll fix it. But I guess
we can use the criteria never having had sex, like vaginal intercourse. So that if somebody has never done that,
does that include fucking yourself with a dildo or a fleshlight, or is that just masturbation? I feel like that's just masturbation. Shouldn't be considered sex.
Well, yeah, I think it would have to be intercourse with another person.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we defined it as intercourse with another person, right? Mm-hmm. So if a woman didn't have intercourse with another person, I guess would have to be. I don't know. This is so complicated because now I'm like, well, so if a woman has sex with another woman and never has sex with a man, is she a perpetual virgin, or she's not a virgin because she's had sex with women? You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah. Well, I mean, I would consider that person to not be a virgin anymore, just because the act of sex. It doesn't matter, penetrated or whatever. I think just the sex, which I guess during the sex you can be penetrated even in a lesbian situation.
Well, sure. So,
I mean, I think that as long as it's just sex with another person.
Okay. So, I mean, if this person has gone in and never had sex and born, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I don't know if they would do in vitro that way to where there could technically be virgin birth, but it would still be like not a natural thing.
Right.
I don't know.
But we're talking about special conception today, like magical.
I know, yeah, I know that's not counted in the percentage you said.
Yeah. So the percentage being 0.8%,
and those are claimed.
Those are claimed, not actual. That's the important part here, is that these are women that have claimed to have had virgin births.
I wonder how many of those were teenagers.
Well, interesting you should ask. They started off the study with 14 to 28-year-olds, I think was the range, and they monitored them for the next 14 years.
Okay.
So it would have been 14, and they didn't break out like how old they were when they claimed to have had a virgin or special conception and virgin birth.
Yeah, see, I think that would matter. I mean, I think that would kind of tell a story. I mean, I don't think that it would seem odd that someone, a grown-ass woman, would claim a virgin birth. I mean, unless they're a super religious person and want to like be special or something.
Well, ironically, they were able to glean a lot of information about the sexual education of both the child and the parents, because most of the parents whose child claimed to be, specially inseminated, were not equipped to talk about sex with their child. and the children did not know anything about sex. So, I mean, it's pretty much just ignorance is what it is.
Which is not surprising.
No, it's not.
It's sad.
A lot of them had signed chastity pledges.
Oh, boy.
So they claimed to be virgins because they signed this chastity pledge. And I'm guessing either they were just flat out lying.
Chaste.
No. They were just flat out lying, or, you know, they just didn't understand sex.
Which is fine. Look, there's nothing wrong with having sex. But the problem is that when you don't educate your kids about this kind of shit, they end up pregnant. Educate them. Abstinence only doesn't work. Educate them about birth control and how to prevent pregnancy. Yeah. And if you want to teach them that your belief is that they should not have sex until marriage, you can teach them that, but you can also teach them
safe sex.
Safe sex. Just in case, because reasons.
Yeah. Well, you know, I remember one of my college teachers talked about how when she was teaching high school or something like that, she actually had a teenager come in and be like, look, I got pregnant from the toilet seat.
You did not get pregnant from the toilet seat, baby.
The mother was with her and agreed that she got pregnant from the toilet seat.
Oof.
Well, heathens, I hope that you enjoyed this little deep dive into pagan virgin birth myths. I know that I enjoyed putting it together, and I hope that you, Casey, enjoyed learning a little bit today. I don't get to take over the reins much, but you know, when I do, I love to flex these particular muscles. So
yeah, you're going to be, when it comes time for New Testament stuff, you're definitely going to be, we're going to have to figure out if we're going to role reverse.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see.
I don't think so. I think you do really good at reading the Bible and teaching me things. So.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, heathens, if you will, please smash that like button down below. I hope that you enjoyed today's video or podcast. And I guess we will be seeing you heathens later.
Don't forget to stand up and use your voice.
Bye, heathens.
Bye, y'all.